Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in.
All right. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Smart Talk podcast, where we feature our smart CEOs. I am today's host, Alena Conley, and I am head of learning and impact here at the Kyra Company. And I am joined by one of our more recent cohort members, Mr. Matthew Mullens of AkoraTech. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Hey, Alena. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I would love to start from the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. And something that we hear from a lot of you all just reconfirms that everybody's journey to being a small business owner, a mid-sized business owner, tech, retail, all looks very different. What would you say is how you ended up in this particular company? Because I know there's been a couple.
So this particular one was really driven by just the passion to really connect and bridge, I'll say Africa as a whole, but really it started off with Ghana and then also bridging just the US and the work I've been doing on this side. I'd started off with a trip. I was in Ghana, met up with a good buddy, Eric, who's one of our other managing partners now. And we were just having a conversation like, man, how can we add value to both sides of the pond, right? How can we utilize things that's going on here in the States to benefit things overseas and vice versa? And just given our kind of thought process, bringing people together, we were like, let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we create something. And so with that, we put together a team. And that's really just the birth of it. We pulled together people that were also passionate just about the work and things of kind of the social implications there. And it's a beautiful thing when everybody comes together and has the same vision. And it's almost surprising what you can end up building. So that's a high level of how I got started in this particular business. But as you mentioned, my entrepreneurship journey started even before AkoraTech.
Yeah. And we'll pull back some more layers, but just to get everyone up to speed, tell us, what is AkoraTech and what is the vision over the next couple of years?
Yeah, so AkoraTech is essentially, think of us as your software boutique, custom IT firm that can help you make any of your complex IT challenges simple. So that's why we are here to help optimize your business, anything in terms of implementing automation, website work, cybersecurity, AI implementation, things of that nature is what we're able to provide and help your business, allow you to do the things that you're best at or most suited to do. And we'll handle all that kind of technical, complex stuff in the background for you.
Yeah. I love it. I think that you all are kind of like the jack of all trades, because you have such a dynamic team and so many different backgrounds. But something that you said when you first started caught my attention, because I feel like I do this in various spaces, right? And this may just be like an entrepreneurial thing where whether it's you traveling somewhere or being in a situation where you're like, this should not be this hard, right? You into creation mode and come up with ideas, and especially over these things. And so when you think about your journey and your earliest memory of being like this, do you think that you were like this as a child, where you were just like, hey, I want to fix things, I want to be solution oriented? How did you know that you had this kind of bug inside of you?
Yeah, I guess I was kind of like this as a child. I actually, I had a funny nickname coming up that it was called M Stacks, is what my family would say, because somehow, even as a kid, I always had $1 or something because I was politicking, networking, doing something just naturally, just before I was even working age type deal. So I guess it's been kind of natural. I also come from a family of entrepreneurs. So maybe just around the dinner table, just that kind of talk and thought process played a role in it too. And so, yeah, it was just like a natural thing of, hey, I like to solve problems. I guess part of that shows why I ended up getting a engineering degree as well during undergrad, just because problem solving is something that kind of interests me. I get satisfaction, fulfillment doing that. And then outside of that, having a passion around sustainability, I've always just looked at, okay, what's the social implications of the problems that we're solving? And it's not so much just about making a dollar, but how do you actually benefit or add value to your community or society at large? But usually you want to focus on what the areas that you're around. So like you said, when you're in those certain environments or when you're in your local community, you just see things and you get inspired to say, hey, how can I make that better? And entrepreneurship just happens to be one of the paths to actually do something about it. So I guess that's where it started, and that's how it got sparked for me.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know if I'm just a creator or actual entrepreneur, because as we saw in the cohort, there's a lot of ideation and ideas, and I'm like an ideas girl, but when it comes to like execution, not my thing, right? And so I'm always like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't even know if I'm like an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm just a creator. I don't know, right? And so when you think about all of the things that we cover, in our cohort, we really focus on scaling the business. Most important, just taking an idea or having conversations, but really then being able to execute and scale it into a profitable business.
Yeah. When I think about, especially pulling from the cohort, man, that SOP session just clicked with a big light bulb for me because that was a huge takeaway for myself and for the team as a business. So you mentioned like being a creator versus being an entrepreneur. It's one skill set to create something, which is difficult in itself, don't get me wrong, and that's needed. But it's a different skill set when you're like, okay, how do I make this an engine that runs even if I'm removed from the situation or without having to be as hands on? And I think part of that differentiation is coming up with your standard operating processes that can be repeated and executed whether or not you're in the pot or if a team member is doing it on your behalf, or you want to delegate it to somebody that's better at a certain skill set than you are, you at least can work with them to maybe develop what that SOP looks like, or you can have a starting point. But really, just having systems in place goes a long way. And systems is one thing, but SOP helps you repeat that system over and over consistently, which then translates to your customer because then they get the same output every time. And hopefully, that's a good output. And they enjoy it and they go tell a friend and say, hey, you need to go talk to Alena or Matt or whatever, whoever they're speaking of. And then that drives business, which then causes kind of this, turns it into something bigger than just, hey, I created one thing and did it once and sold it to one person or had one person try it, but now it becomes something that multiple people can benefit from. So from the cohort, like I said, that SOP session, just some of it was you do it intuitively, but when you hear somebody articulate it, it just clicks that bingo card to just be like, yes, that is something that we need to really focus on.
I agree. Okay, so think about you expanding your journey into Africa, right? I think a hot space for American entrepreneurs. We also have a lot of, I'm about to go move my whole family over here and do this Ghana thing. Talk to me about the opportunity that you saw, right? Like when you were there for your first visit, especially for those of us who have a hard time wrapping our head around that experience if we've never been.
Yeah. I say the first time, just go and enjoy it. Don't think about business and all that stuff. Just immerse yourself in the experience and enjoy it for what that is. I've been to Ghana a handful of times now, and I would say the first couple times were there was no thought of business. It was just, hey, I'm learning about the culture, I'm understanding the people, I'm sightseeing, I'm learning the history, I'm seeing how that all connects back to transatlantic slave trade, all those dots, it's a great experience in general. But when you are ready for the business aspect of it, definitely you want to make sure that you are connected with the right people. And so things don't always move the same way that they may traditionally move in the US. So certain things of making sure that you're connected with the right like tribe leaders and kings, and they get into that kind of social dynamic versus saying, oh, I'm just going to go to my local chamber of commerce and start up something. It's not quite the same dynamic there. So just being aware of that is one thing. The other piece that we saw is there's so much talent in Ghana that gets overlooked. You get this propaganda of, oh, Africa's underdeveloped and it's underdeveloped and they don't have the same things that we have. But in the year of 2026, especially in the space of technology, a lot of things are on the even playing field, right? That's one thing that we saw the same way companies been outsourcing to India and the East and Taiwan and all these other places. It's like, why can't we bring some of that economic value over to our brothers and sisters over in Africa? And Ghana just happened to be the place I'm connected to. But speaking more broadly, of it doesn't have to be just Ghana. There's talent all across the continent. And so that was one thing that really stood out to us that we identified to just say, look, there's educated and well qualified people here. Why are we not helping provide them the opportunity to showcase those talents? And then vice versa, how can we utilize those talents to then uplift businesses here in the States as well? So that's how it becomes a win-win, where you're giving people an opportunity to demonstrate what they've studied and worked hard at, and then you're also helping benefit people here, businesses here in the States, small businesses and mid-sized businesses more specifically, to help them grow and get their infrastructure in place. I think that answers the question a little bit of what to look for while you're over there. But like I said, when your first time over there, just enjoy it. It's a great experience.
Yeah. I'm looking as long as I can remember as a elder millennial. I guess that's what they calling us nowadays. The various tech platforms have just been a part of my life. It was social media, right? Where there was the .com era. And this evolution of this space has been something that we all just really had to, in some way, shape, or form, understand, even if it wasn't our industry. And so now we're in this AI boom. And as we hear from tech gurus, AI has been around for years, right? But obviously, over the last couple of years, especially with generative AI, OpenAI, and I know that you all are really integrating some of that in your platform as well. Talk to me about what you feel like we will be experiencing over the next 12 months in this particular space. What are the things that business owners need to think about in terms of technology? But then also, if you were to just give us your own macro perspective where you feel like the industry is headed, that would be awesome.
Yeah, not sure how nobody has the magic crystal ball to see the exact future, right? But from my perspective at the moment, I definitely see AI becoming more and more integrated. It's not going away. It's not going to turn into something else. More and more businesses are adopting it. More and more tools, like we're on this platform, right? And whether you use Zoom or whatever, the tools that you use, whether you adopt it directly, you're going to end up adopting it indirectly because it's just becoming more integrated in different aspects. So that's in the next 12 months. I would say if you're a little AI knowledgeable, it's better to get a lot more AI knowledgeable going forward because it's not going anywhere. In terms of perspective of utilizing AI, I don't think AI needs to be in everything. It's not the end all be all answer to every problem that's out there. I do actually think that some places over implement AI because they're just like, that's the hot topic, that's the buzzword, that's going to solve all our problems. Each problem and each issue deserves its own analysis and time to actually see what the root cause or what the root change needs to be to actually be beneficial. More so, it's about looking at what your workflows are. And then once you understand your different workflows, that goes back into, as we mentioned earlier, systems, standard operating procedures, processes, things of that nature. Once you actually do an analysis of what your workflows, then it's easier to identify, okay, this particular workflow or this particular spot in a workflow is where I should be implementing AI to thus save myself time, reduce risk of error or risk of human error, or obviously helps the customer experience in some way. So those are like, in my mind, the three kind of first benefit cases of AI. You definitely want to free up your time as much as possible, and AI definitely helps with that in some cases. But if you're not doing it in a kind of methodical way, you can actually end up taking up more of your time because now you're trying to fix things that are broken, or you're trying to go behind AI and say, hey, it's hallucinating these answers, or it's saying things that I don't want it to say. So now I got to double check behind it or follow up with customers because it said something that wasn't, right for my business. That's where having a team or somebody come in that's been working in this space is very helpful to help make sure that things are set in place correctly. And then also, how do you do that maintenance and upkeep to make sure that it's continuing to be effective and not actually just another thing that you have to babysit or fix up as you grow your business. I think that answers the question of next 12 months. It's just going to be more AI, and then how you actually implement that in your business, just being very intentional about analyzing your workflows and seeing where it actually adds value and not just doing AI for the sake of AI.
Yeah, I agree. So when you think about these last couple of months as part of being a cohort member, one of the biggest things that we shifted in this particular onboarding season was going through the AI powered online assessments, or they weren't even online. We call them personalized pathways for those of you all who are not a part of the cohort. My goal with that is to essentially make it where, even though we have this standard 8-week curriculum, everyone could overlay that curriculum with the key things that they needed to work on. And so we had an onboarding conversation that was about 60 minutes, where we went through what we called a supplier readiness assessment, and it pinged, hey, for AkoraTech, these are the opportunities that we think you need to really focus on to make the most of this program. And so from your perspective, receiving that report and then having to implement on demand, which is another kind of thing that I consider to be a different in our accelerator programs, is we're not just teaching the whole 3 hours, we're teaching the first half, and then we're like, okay, get in your breakout room, start doing these things. So what do you feel like really made the difference? Because this is a big commitment for a CEO, right? What do you feel like really made the difference in these 8 weeks where it added value to the ability for you all to think about?
Yeah, one thing that really made a difference and added value of like the ability for us to think about what we're actually going to implement during the program, I would say, was 100% the clarity that your assessment brought us. So after, it's one thing of you kind of know what you need to work on, or it's in the back of your mind and you're like, all right, I'm gonna get to that one later. But your assessment while going through the Smart CEO program was very clear to say, hey, here's like this detailed breakdown of area. Here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses. This is how we would prioritize you fixing those weaknesses, and then how it relates to even the session content is, as we're going through the 8 weeks, each session was relatable to one of the kind of pain points or issues that were identified in the assessment. So it made it very clear and easy to connect the dots to say, all right, this is what my assessment was talking about. Cool. I just heard a SME, a subject matter expert, speak on this topic. I'm going to glean things off that are relevant or things that inspired me to think about whatever, or just directly, hey, they just provided the framework that I didn't even think of or know existed, and I'm just going to implement that now into the business. So that was very helpful. It made it very relevant too, of just knowing what to attack. As a business owner, there's 1,001 different things that you can tinker on and tweak and work on, but really knowing what those specific high impact kind of things to fix goes a really long way to just add to the margin of improvement. I would say that was the main benefit and main value that I experienced throughout the program.
Newly constructed, right? I think you all had history in maybe other companies or corporate environments. You for and multiple people immersed in it made a difference. And so talk to me about what it was like to almost have a newly formed, while this is not your first business, it requires opportunity to think about, okay, how do we really build this as a team? How do we build this with a multi-time zone team? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I enjoy the team. Our team is fun when we get together, and fun in the sense of yes, we have good laughs, we are able to be open, but we get work done too at the same time. So I think that goes along with the whole culture of when you're forming a team. Do you guys mesh well together? We really enjoy working together. Some of us have worked together prior in pairs prior to actually coming together to form AkoraTech. So I think that goes a long way with us all, with most of us being able to join the actual Smart CEO program. That was just, I think, invaluable in a smart decision on our part as well, because it really helped streamline decision making. We were able to all digest the information at the same time. And then when we came back to our more internal meetings, we were able to just hit the ground running without spending time trying to, let's say myself, if I would have joined by myself, I didn't have to spend time bringing the team up to speed on, hey, this is what I learned, and this is who said it, and this is why we should implement it, and this is how it applies. I don't have to do all that because they already were there to experience it, they digested it, they got it, and then it's a matter of, hey, how do we want to implement this? And delegating tasks to say who's going to take the lead to do it. But other than that, just working together as a team in different time zones and things of that nature, that's nothing new for any of us, given our backgrounds being in Fortune 100 companies. We're used to working in a global sense and in teams that are located everywhere. But like you said, it's totally different when you actually form a new team and there's no structure in the beginning and you have to bring the structure as an entrepreneur. Corporate teamwork is totally different than entrepreneurship teamwork, in my opinion. So yes, you learn lessons from the corporate world, but it's a different muscle in the entrepreneurship world.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, when someone's coming through the podcast, more than likely it's because there's a new cohort coming up and they're trying to figure out me. So if you were in conversation with a colleague as an ambassador of our program, what would you tell them if they say, tell me about it? What do you do? What do you learn?
Yeah, what would I tell somebody? I would tell them a lot. First, I'll just say yes. If they're like coming to me like, should I do this? I'd say yes. But also, if they're asking more details, will tell me about it. What did you learn? What did you do? I would say it was fast paced. It's almost like a J curve of fast pacedness. It started off slow. You have we had an interview with you, we got the feedback, and then I think it was like a week or two later that we actually start the 8 weeks. And then once those 8 weeks get going, it's going, it's moving, because every week the sessions are so impactful and each session makes you rethink your business completely differently based on that information that you're gaining. Definitely try to implement as much as you can before the next session. Otherwise, there's going to be a big backlog of things that you're like, okay, cool, I learned that this week. And then next week, you're going to learn a whole bunch of new stuff that's going to be inspiring. And now it's just going to pile up. Try to kind of keep up with the pace as much as possible. So that way you get as much as possible out of it, especially when you get to the capstone. If you've been implementing throughout the 8 weeks, you're just that much more prepared during the capstone versus trying to scramble, put things together at the last minute, or maybe not even have made as much progress as you could have made. And now at the capstone, you're not prepared for certain opportunities or whatnot, or you're still working on implementing things when you could be possibly closing new relationships and new deals and things of that nature, just given the exposure of what the capstone actually provides. I would say if I'm talking to somebody, come ready to implement. come ready to take action. It's only so much to think about at a point. And I think at this level, as a smart CEO, you've done the thinking, you've done the pontificating on how to approach expanding your business. But the Smart CEOs program is definitely more about, hey, what action are you taking to actually build out your infrastructure and create a stronger base for yourself? And so just come open-minded and come ready to do the work.
Yeah. Okay, we might have to get you to make a commercial, Mr. Pontification. I love it. So when we think about one of our biggest goals for you all as smart CEOs is to pull yourself out of the business as much as possible, right? And I think that is always like the number one marketing language that gets people hooked when they're considering the program, because we're like, oh, start working in your business and start working on your business, that kind of language. And so when we pull back the layers of how to get that done, it really goes back to what you said in terms of systems, SOPs, identifying where you are the bottleneck, identifying where you're not releasing it to your team. And when you think about that mindset going out of the into the world and spreading your wings as a smart CEO, when you wake up every day, like, how do you make sure that you are looking at your business from a lens of strategy and ops versus feeling like you have to be in the weeds?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say one of those things is just tough lesson learned, right? You learn sometimes by trial of being in the weeds, and you get to a point as a business owner where you're like, "Ooh, this is a lot of work." And then you kind of think about the times of maybe I should delegate that, or maybe I should automate this, or maybe I should hire the right person that's actually passionate and an expert at this particular aspect of business. Or you just got to be self-aware enough to know, hey, these are my strengths and these are things that I would probably be better off handing over to somebody else that's their strength. And so with that, you learn trial and error as an entrepreneur. You wear all the hats at one point or another. You just got to know what hat fits you the best. And so when you're going through that process and even going through the Smart CEO programming, having that self-awareness to know, hey, these are my weak areas. You then digest those sessions related to those weak areas. And that's the ones where you really want to take the notes, because then you want to find now the right person or the right system or program or whatever makes sense for the situation that's actually going to cover those missing bases for you. And that's the balance of working on the business and in the business. You still got to work in the business so that the foundation is strong, especially as a founder. You're the one setting the base. So there is that upfront work that you will be doing. And then some of that work will be done throughout the program, but just keep in mind that you're doing that work so that way you can work on the business versus in the business, hopefully post-program and as you continue to grow. There is a little bit of work to be done in the business initially, but just it's the mindset of why you're doing the work. You're not doing the one-off task, or you're not trying to satisfy every customer individually to the extent that it takes away from your ability to scale. You're doing it in a way that it enables you to scale. And so that's really just been the mindset shift that I would say has occurred.
This was wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to have this conversation with me. For those of you all who are tuning in and you're wanting to know more about how you can also get involved with the Smart CEOs, we encourage you to visit tkcsmartceos.com. Now, Matthew, if people want to learn more about AkoraTech, where can they find you?
Go to AkoraTech.com, AkoraTech.com. You can find us on LinkedIn as well. You can reach out to me directly, Matthew Mullens on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. And thanks again, Alena, for you and the broader Smart CEOs team for putting together this wonderful program.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Kyra Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.